Darrel Brown. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the CNE. Good morning. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. So you have been publicly expressing your concerns about the future for the Canadian National Exhibition. What factors are contributing to this? Why are you worried?
Well, the largest factor is space. We're obviously an event that attracts, well, last year, 1.6 million people or more. And you need to have a clear free flow for pedestrians. You also need to have sufficient space to be able to program. We have over 300 events and activities that are happening over the next 18 days. We've seen a steady diminution of access on site. We've lost a number of buildings over the years. There's now a proposal to erect a parkade above ground to service Therme and Ontario Place. These kinds of things will get to a point where it's no longer viable if it keeps going in this direction.
Because of all of the development at the site.
Yeah, I mean, there's a hotel phase 2 development, an e-gaming facility that's going to take away 360,000 square feet of programmable space. There's been some discussion of possibly, demolishing the Better Living Center, although that's not been a decision that's made. But that's another 220,000 square feet of space that we make use of. We've got a long history on this site, and also a long history of actually planning on this site. We used to manage the grounds up until 1983, 104 years. We know this site intimately, and we know what the benefits are and what the detriments are. So we want to be part of the dialogue.
So you rent out the space. And so what has the city, what has the province said to you?
So the city is actually really parallel with us in terms of the parkade. They're saying that any parking facility that should be erected should be underground. We had Populous do a study in 2015 and again in 2019 to look at what kinds of designs would work for here and preserve what we think should be preserved. And so we were proposing doing something south of BMO Field underground that would connect directly to Ontario Place. And what the Board of Governors of X Place have done is establish some foundational principles that also say if it's going to be parking, it has to be underground. The problem is the province is saying that's too expensive.
So ever since the pandemic, and we should remind people that the CNE was closed for 2 years during the pandemic, how much more expensive has it been to keep the CNE up and running?
Well, we're an anomaly in that we've done very, very well. I know a lot of festivals have struggled coming out of COVID. I mean, we were in the hole. We did need some emergency funding from the federal government to get to 2022. But we came out of last year with a $26 million surplus, the largest in our history. But to put that into context, it costs us, for example, this year, $41 million to run this fair. And we don't receive government funding generally. Sometimes, we apply for a targeted grant for a particular exhibition, but generally speaking, we have to make the funds to cover our expenses. So even though $26 million sounds wonderful, if we have a string of bad weather this year, we could be looking at a problem because 41 million is what it's costing us. We have 26 million going into the fair.
Darrel, is there an alternate site for the CNE? I mean, I know it seems almost unimaginable given how long it's been there, but what do you think?
We're unique. And it's a combination of access. We've got fantastic, of course, transit access with GO and TTC. We program on the water. We program all of the convention facilities here, all of the other facilities that we still have access to, and we program even more if we, could have access to more. So it's difficult to imagine. There's not a comparable site, certainly not in the GTA, that can do the kinds of things we do, but also be at a core center for the GTA. And keep in mind that $210 million were spent by attendees last year in the GTA. This is a really significant event from an employment perspective and from an economic impact perspective.
Darrel Brown is the Chief Executive Officer at the CNE. Darrel, thanks again. Really appreciate you talking to us and bringing this story to light.